Alrighty, sorry about the little bit of a late transition there, but we got there. Yes, we had the countdown from Spirit RS3. Thank you very much. Rainbow Pit, how's it going? And Samuel Dimmery, thank you very much for tuning in, my man. You were the first one here, all by your lonesome. I couldn't just ignore you like that. Make you think your life had reached a new low. That was making me feel bad. It's always nice to see new people around. Have you checked out this game yourself, Samuel? Exactly, Spirit. I got that Gandalf timing. You know what's up. Alright, let's get the tunes switched over now. We're not on the starting soon tunes anymore. We'll just get the normal playlist going. I think I went over to the wrong screen here. We're supposed to go over to the just chatting thing. We will do the 15-minute Q&A as per usual now. So if we do have anyone new joining us, as always, feel free to pop your questions in the chat. If this is a game that you're playing yourself, if you're just curious about it, if there are things you still need to know, we can try and clear them up. Rainbow Pit, it's going pretty well. I had a bit of a fight with UPS earlier. I had to get my son's Halloween costume delivered here. I had paid the extra shipping to get it here today, and apparently their driver couldn't find our address and wasn't going to deliver it, and was going to have to go pick it up. It was a real hassle, so the guy just drove it here himself. It was great. Finally got it. Got a tongue twister meme for you to give a go to start the stream off with a laugh if you will allow the link. I'm pretty sure the link is allowed. Do I need to do something? Here, just a second. I think allow, or no, I got to do the slash allow, I think. And then, okay, yeah, there it is. Cool. All right. As long as this isn't, as long as you're not trolling me here and this isn't something that's going to, like, get me all banned from Twitch and stuff. I mean, I feel like this is a dangerous thing for people to do, but I'm going to open it in a new tab. Legolas. Oh, yeah. Legolas. Lego my Lego, Legolas. I can't even read that last one. Legolas's Legolas. 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 Lego my Lego. Oh, see, I screwed that one up. I almost got it. But yeah, okay, I mean, that's not, all right. Can I, if I just click it here, will it like, no, it just opens it there. I can't share it with, I mean, I tried. Hey, I like it. I do like it. I'm going to have to show that to my brother. He's a huge Lego guy, so. Thank you. I mean, hey, gave it my best. Streamlabs is having trouble functioning as intended. What? Shut up, Streamlabs. You're working just as I intend you to work. Oh, I like those things. I like tongue twisters. They're fun. Did you know there once was a man from Nantucket? That's a fun one. That's a limerick. Not really a tongue twister. It's just a limerick, but it's fun. Not many people actually know the full version, like the full thing, but that's why I figured I didn't even need to continue. Anyone that does know the full version can just have themselves a little laugh. I gotta get Streamlabs back up here though. There we go. Alright. At least you got in time for the little AJ. Indeed. It's been day 21 and still no tier 3 commander, and I've spent like 80 bucks. Yeah, that doesn't really surprise me, Zwazi. It's like it's you know, a 1 in 1,000 shot, and that's not an accumulating thing. Every single time you spend a Matham coin or whatever, you're rolling a D1000. And you gotta hit 1,000 to get a T3. Joseph. Hey man, Gimli any good on R1? Yes he is, Joseph. He's got the dwarf and elf synergy at R1. Where is my Gimli here? So Lockbearer at R1, it provides a heal right away, which is always nice. But then, as I said, you get the Protect Elves skill. So the dwarf with the highest defense is going to protect all of your elven units, and they get a 30% increase in their defense. Friendly relations means that your elves and dwarves are going to take 14% less damage at max. So this tree here, it does make the dwarven units a lot more viable. You can pair them up with the heralds, the sentinels, the bow knights, use the guardians, the ram riders. If you are a dwarf yourself, you can make use of the iron warriors, which is great. But this is a good tree. Experienced warrior is the experienced warrior tree. You get collaboration, hunt down, experienced warrior itself. And then you can also go into Durin's Blood, which gives whirlwind and all in. I wouldn't really suggest going for Lord of the Glittering Caves at any point. It's just not. I mean, the only real thing that's worth it is open wound. So, for my money, Respect 3 is all you really need to worry about getting Gimli to. And until then, he does pretty well with both of these trees. Spirit RS3 is rolling 23 Mathams right now. Well, good luck to you. Hopefully you get some decent pulls. I've got a free one here myself. Nothing. Discounted one? Nothing. Look at my major collection of Matham coins. I got 5. Whatever. I'll roll them over to the next season. Yep. Karoon is a beast. Indeed. More and more people are starting to understand the powerhouse that is Karoon. He's a very overlooked commander on the evil side, I find. You know, because he's not one of the main characters or anything. People want to focus more on like Sauron and Saruman and Witch King, because those are the guys they know from the books and the movies. But Karoon is fucking awesome. What was going on over here? I mean, we had, while I was at work, we had a bit of a skirmish with the elves. They busted across here and took out a whole bunch of stuff. They did leave me standing here, which I thought was funny. But then we pushed back a little bit. I was gonna do some PvP with King again if he was on and wanted to, but somebody took out his fort that was sitting here. I figured naming a fort PvP with King right beside a fort that said PvP with AJ maybe it would make things a little bit obvious to people, but no. They took that fort out. Kmart. So something that our Zawazi, our global chat and server 209, man, they got way too many servers, is so toxic. I got people from Mordor just uninstalling the game. Next season, I hope there would be a button to disable it. To disable chat? Yeah, there can definitely be some toxic. Yeah, you can just block people. I haven't had to do that as much lately, but in the betas, the first 2 betas, oh man, I had quite the large block list or blacklist or whatever they call it. Anyone that was just too annoying like that, I just said screw it. I don't need to hear from you. Let's spend some of these 8 million points. Alright, we got 11 ring points to get rid of. So we'll max that out. So that's them. Huh. Alright then. I guess we'll go with this. I still got 5 points, eh? Sure. We'll go with the XP. Wow. That's crazy. They open too many servers, but the usual, I'm not racist because I make fun of everyone. Well, yeah, that's, I mean, people trying to use that for racism are just kind of stupid. Hello, King Dead. How's it going? Some people try and use whatever defense they can, though, Rainbow Pit. I mean, whatever justification they can come up with in their own minds. It's like, if you got to qualify your statements that much, there's probably a problem with it. Hey, Emil Peterson, how's it going, man? I believe you are you the same Emil that I've been chatting with on Discord? If so, welcome to the streams. Glad to have you here finally. If you have any specific questions, feel free to ask. Yeah, awesome, man. So what specifically do you want to know about? Like, I can show you the commanders I've got unlocked here. Like, this is the list of commanders I've got unlocked. As you can see, I've only focused on a few of them. There's a lot of them that are just lower level, getting bits of experience where they can. But yeah, I'll show you, like my Theo here, Theoden, whatever you want to call him. He's got Respect 6. I've got the 1 5-star gold item here, a 3-star, not even refined, Reach of the Rittermark. The Horseman's Helm, that gains stun immunity, and a Fiddle of the Eldest on him. That all focuses on might and speed. And then for skills, Theoden goes for all of his mounted buffs. Arwen, Respect 5, is a crazy healer, even at Respect 1. She's got Undomiel, Cleansing Touch, Elven Blessing. But once you get her to Respect 5, Queen of the United Kingdom, provides even more utility that way. And yes, Theo is quite the beast. I can actually show you probably my best example of his beastly ways from the other day. I had some PvP against King James, an elf. And where was the fight? I went against a level 50. Where the heck was the guy? Dane, this guy. I was actually really surprised that Theoden won this fight. As you can see, like, this guy does a good amount of damage himself. His soldiers do a lot of damage. But the amount of damage that Theo can put out, the healing he can deal, the damage that he does himself, just ends up being overwhelming, even against somebody as strong as Dane. And that honestly surprised me. I figured that would be a draw. But yeah, Theo is one of the strongest commanders on the good side, especially for Rohan, because they have the marshals. I do have a couple of tier 3 commanders on the good side here, Galadriel and Aragorn, King of Men. Galadriel is a really good T3. She does a lot of focus damage and can provide some decent heals at respect 5 once you get her Nenya's Guardian and Ring of Water. Aragorn, King of Men, though, I actually don't find him as good as the tier 2 Aragorn. And that is because this Aragorn provides stun immunity to all of his men units for a single point into his respect 5 sub-skill up here. Whereas King Aragorn, he reduces damage dealt. He reduces the damage, damage received by your allied units when they are affected by Stun or Madness. So they still have to get hit by it, but they take less damage when they do. I'd prefer the immunity. Roman Height, how's it going? I'm doing pretty well. I do need to put some more points into Aragorn's skills here. I'm gonna go one call the week. Actually, yeah, we'll just start boosting that one up. The other really good option for the good faction, especially Rohan yet again, is Eowyn as a tier 1 commander. She's basically a mini Theo. She's got the same Rohirrim skill tree for her mounted units at respect 1, but at respect 5, she heals all of her mounted units by 30%, gives all the mounted units stun immunity, has frontline rescue to provide a pretty large heal on round 3, and also increases the damage dealt by men units by 21%. She doesn't provide quite as much in the way of damage boosts as Theo, but still pretty good. And yeah, those are really the main commanders that I'm using. Gandalf the White is a really good tier 3. I just haven't been focusing on getting them up yet. And then items. As you can see here, I did collect a decent amount of legendaries. And I've got a pretty fair collection of purples as well. I really got to sit down sometime and like strengthen and refine some stuff. Because I just haven't been. I haven't been dismantling anything. So everything's just building up. Haldir versus Boromir. Who do you prioritize? I would go with Haldir personally. As you can see, I actually have. I've got him 10 levels higher than Boromir. The guide tree is a great one to take. It provides 45% extra damage for the first 2 rounds to all of your allied units, and they get stun immunity while that damage increase is in effect. This also provides Armed Escort, which is a small heal, every 3 rounds, I think. But Foresight is one of the other really good skills. This, as you can see, it causes a chance to ignore avoidance. So a lot of the evil commanders that grant avoidance as a defensive capability, this can ignore it. But the other major use of this is going for Oathbreakers. The physical damage immunity that Oathbreakers have counts as avoidance, and this will get around it. And then at Respect 3, he gets Sylvan Elf, which causes him to deal poison damage that lasts 2 rounds. But it also opens up his Beast training. So his beasts recover 100% HP per round. You run him with Bearmen, and they can deal a ton of damage. Forest Agility, allied ranged units have a 20% chance to attack twice per round. And then there is Galadrim, which is a pretty good tree. I just haven't leveled him up enough to put any points into it. I don't really like Fortify myself because it only affects your units when they're defending, but in heavy PvP it can be handy. Shield Training is pretty good though, as it reduces the damage received by your ranged units. And then if you don't get them to Respect 5, you can go with March Warden of Lorien. Deals damage, and 1 allied unit gains avoidance, increases your focus, which is going to, where was it? Yeah, it's going to increase the healing on Armed Escort. And then if you want, you can also go with Elite to increase his might and focus even more. Skill priority. What would level priority be at R5? Hey, Anxious Rhino, welcome back. How's it going? For me, Emil, I would prioritize, as you can see here, I would prioritize Guide, for sure. That 45% damage and stun immunity is great. If you are Gondor, for example, and you plan on going for Oathbreakers early, you definitely want to prioritize Foresight. Otherwise, you can go into March Warden of Lorien, get Cull of the Weak. If you get him to Respect 3 early, you can come into Sylvan Elf and Beast Training, since you're probably going to be either Elves or Gondor, so you can go for either Oathbreakers or Bearmen early. Even Rohan can get Bearmen pretty early. So Beast Training or Foresight are probably going to be an early pickup for you. And then if you do get him to Respect 5, sorry, because yeah, that's what you asked for, at Respect 5. Physical damage modified by speed stat. Yeah, I guess it still kind of depends, because, well, how would I do it? If I had him at max. The thing that's catching me up is because even though this is only 20%, I really like Forest Agility on Haldir, which means you've got to get Sylvan Elf. You don't necessarily need to get Beast Training, but this is almost a guaranteed first pick for me. So there's 15 points right away. I usually wait to take Armed Escort. It's not necessarily priority. So yeah, like Guide. Allied range units, physical damage. So that'd be what? 20% plus the speed stat. It might be Guide and Galadrim, to be honest. If you had them at Respect 5, because these two together would just be a great damage increase. You're probably going to be running them with double ranged anyway. So this is going to give a really good increase. If you knew you were going for those, you could stack his might and his speed and forego the focus for now. if you did go Galadrim, it would probably be worth putting the 7 points into shield training. And then it would probably, at that point, you would probably start getting interested in taking one of these two. Because you'd either start coming up against some enemies that probably have avoidance that you'd want to be ignoring. You might be going for Oathbreakers, going against Oathbreakers, or you might find that you want heals. At which point you could take this and, you know, you probably don't have a lot of focus on them if you've gone the other route. But, you know, a little heal is better than no heal at that point. Extra points, you could probably go into March Warden of Lorien or Sylvan Elf, depending on whether you want the poison damage. If you end up going for beasts and want the beast training, you know, it becomes situational at that point. But yeah, I think to try and actually answer your question, Guide, Galadrim, shield training, probably Foresight, Armed Escort, and then, like I said, depending on, at that point, how you feel like you need to adjust him is going to decide where the extra points go. That may have been a bit more long-winded than you were hoping for, Emil. I tend to do that sometimes. But yeah, I actually needed to work that one out a little bit more. Sometimes I even question my own thought processes when I'm in the midst of it. So yeah, not a problem. I'm glad it did help. I was starting to think like, man, he's probably sitting there going, huh? You lost me at like, whatever. Good. That is what I hope to do. Like I try and sometimes be like, I try and be thorough. But sometimes I feel like I'm just like rambling. So I'm glad it helped. If there are any other commanders that you're curious about, units, anything like that, feel free to ask. And sorry, to the rest of the chat there, on that I was into the question there. Haldir, oh yeah, I got that one. By the way, who do I think is the best not T3 commander for ghosts? I don't really know if I don't really think there's any that are better than others for Oathbreakers. Like, to run them with? Yeah, that's what I think you're asking. Because there aren't any, I don't think they get affected by, yeah, because they're not considered men or anything. Well, do they get affected by stuff that say allied units? I don't think so. But if they do, then yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't really think there's anyone that, because I don't even know with the way they work, I don't know if something like this actually benefits them. That would require some testing, I think. You'd need to, like, run the Oathbreakers, like, just Oathbreakers or something, or you'd need to hunt down the information. But, like, run Oathbreakers on Aragorn and see if the benefits that apply to your army, things like Dunedain Chieftain, Brawling Training, Yeah, I guess those would be the only ones for him, really. Are they considered a melee unit? Because the counterattack would apply to them if they're a melee unit. Yeah, it kind of depends if... Yeah, no, I do know that, Rhino, that allied units means your troops. What I mean is Oathbreakers work a little bit differently, where... like, I just don't know... Yeah, that's exactly it, Rainbow Pit. I don't know how they work with stuff like that. Because, like, they don't take physical damage, so the defense isn't going to be of any use. They do damage themselves, so is that extra HP actually going to be beneficial? Maybe. This apparently applies to your army, not just the commander. So technically, they should be doing 21% extra focus damage against melee units. But do they? I don't know. Yeah, that's exactly like Rhino. Like, the HP would actually be useful if it applied. I don't know if it does, though. Same with this. This is supposed to apply to your army. But, oh, yeah, would they do the extra damage to themselves? Well, no, because it does specifically say against enemy melee units. So, I don't think it would come back on them, but that's an interesting one. I'd actually like to... I never thought about that myself, Rainbow Pit. That, like, are there better commanders than others with Oathbreakers other than King of the Dead? I felt like they performed pretty much the same on any commander that I put them on. But I'll also admit that I wasn't really paying much attention. So, can you tell me about Tom Bombadil, best units to use? Yeah, the best units to use on Tom Bombadil are hobgoblins, bugbears, oh, what was the third one? Hobgoblins, bugbears, and kobolds. Yeah, there you go. You run the hobgoblins, the bugbears, and the kobolds on Tom Bombadil. Nobody can touch you. You don't even need respect 3. Like, just respect 1. Nothing. Dawson Kaiser, how's it going? You recently got both the Undying and the Witch King. Congratulations. Which one do I find better overall? Sorry that it took me a while to get back up here, but I will check my notes because I do have that Evil Commanders tier list video still planned out. I was actually trying to record it this morning before I left for work and didn't quite work. But I'll check my notes. I have... Where the hell's Undying? Okay. Oh, so the Undying, I just have him at a straight B. Like a solid B. Oh, wait. At respect 5, he moves up to A because he gets his big heal, as well as the crazy heal block. He reduces the enemy army and commander speed, and increases melee damage received by them, I think? Or increases the melee damage of your units. That's probably what that one is. I've got like little shorthand notes here, so I got to try and translate them myself. But yeah, the Undying at respect 0, 1, or 3. I've got him at a solid B, which is pretty good for a baseline. At respect 0 to 1, he basically just offers poison damage, avoidance, and some damage mitigation. Respect 3, he increases the focus, burn, and poison damage received by enemy units, and then has a continuous poison and the Nazgul Screech for a stun. But it's respect 5. Like I said, that the Undying, I think, really shines and moves up to an A, where he gets his big heal himself, as well as a big heal block. And heal blocks are just great. Witch King, I was actually just talking with Emil about this. Was it today, maybe? The last couple of days, we've been chatting about the commanders. Yeah, Witch King, I've got at a B, moving up to an A at respect 5? No, S at respect 5. God damn, I can't read my own notes. That's bad. But Witch King is better. I do think Witch King is better than Undying. Because you don't have to get Witch King to respect 5 for him to offer some really good stuff. Whereas Undying kind of needs it. Rainbow Pit says they do get the buff for army. So they would get the 30 defense even though they are immune to physical damage and die instantly? That's weird. And Anxious Rhino, I haven't heard myself about a response to stop the change. Although, one of the questions I was going to have out tonight, I wanted to find out if anyone here has received one of these new surveys. I have heard that they were sending surveys out, asking people basically their thoughts on this merger idea. I didn't get a survey, and I don't know if that's because my thoughts on the matter are just out there, and they very well know how I feel about it. The other thing I'm wondering is if they're trying to rig it. You know, I wouldn't totally put it past them that they're basically trying to send the surveys out to people they believe are going to be in favor of the change so that they can come back and say, oh, look, we sent out a survey and everybody loves the idea. And it's like, yeah, but you didn't ask everybody. So, okay, Rainbow Pit, you did get the survey and most people on your server got it? Awesome. Good to hear. They do counterattack even if they avoid the attack. Wow. Yeah, not a problem there, Rhino. Glad I could help you out. But yeah, Gandalf, at that point, now that I know that, Gandalf would be good. Double attack, avoidance, stun. Like you say. Jeez. Faramir? Or not Faramir. Haldir. Because would his damage increase apply to them? From Guide? That'd be alright. 45% extra damage. Just got Legolas Respect 5. Have Grey Elf. Dwarf Friend Tree for Dwarves and Elves combo. Who do you think is the best merge versus Mordor for him? Huh? The best match versus Mordor for him. Best troops. Gotcha. So, well, the thing is, unfortunately, Legolas. Well, no, he can do. Are you what faction are you? Oh, Jesus, yeah, get to bed, Emil. 4:30 in the morning. Thank you very much for joining, Emil. I'm glad I could help. And yeah, we'll continue the conversations on Discord. Whenever you got questions or comments, feel free. Okay, you're Gondor. You're not dumb. Don't call yourself that. Yeah, no problem, dude. I have a feeling it was like a translation thing, and that's cool. But yeah, the best troops. So you'd probably want to run Guardians, because Guardians would protect your Elven units. So you run Guardians, Bow Knights, and yeah, actually, I guess you wouldn't want to run Heralds or whatever, because they wouldn't get hit, so they wouldn't counterattack. Guardians, Bow Knights, and Sentinels then. If you wanted to double up on the archers, either that or just load up on a ton of Bow Knights with a ton of Guardians. Rangers, T3 melee dwarves, and elf archers. Well, yeah, I guess if you are running up against archers yourself, and they start giving you hassle, like they start causing you problems, you could run Dunedains in with that composition. The only issue is they wouldn't get protected by the dwarves, but they'd still go in and start tearing up the archers. You don't have to run a third all the time, Mota. Yeah, you can get away with it on certain commanders, and that is like Legolas or Gimli. They are ones that, because of how that's set up, like I said, like Bow Knights do more damage than Sentinels. So if you include Sentinels, you're really just going to be lowering your damage potential. So instead of running Sentinels, split those command points between the Bow Knights and the Guardians, since the Guardians are going to be protecting the Bow Knights anyway. There's no issue running extra Guardians, and then you can also fit in some extra Bow Knights just to get more damage. But then, yeah, as we said, you know, if you do need Dunedains to specifically to counter archers, or if you need spearmen, like the guard of the tower, to counter mounted units, then you can use that slot as kind of a flexible option that way. I hate trolls. They're so hard to kill. Just run Bow Knights and Master Throwers, the T3 ranged unit from the dwarves. They actually deal more damage to trolls than Bow Knights do. And yeah, the Bow Knights, like I said, they do more damage and are faster than Sentinels. All right, well, we do have some commanders here loaded up and ready to go. What is the at AjMcGamer? What are you pointing at? Spirit, I'm not sure what you're pointing at. The best counter to Theo? Probably to run away until their Theo runs out of stamina. Because there's just not a lot you can do. Can't you see my above messages? Oh! I had to scroll back further. Yes. Matham exchange for weapons resets in an hour. Is that for you too, or server specific? Let's find out. Mine refreshes in 1 day, 14 hours, or 14 minutes, 31 seconds? And then the other one was with the resource cart scout mission. It gives XP and has a gold reward with a question mark. I've only ever gotten XP, so what's with that? I don't know. Are you sure you've only gotten XP, or like, because sometimes you don't get a notification for the reward that you got. Like when you get the resource carts outside of your base, those just give you resources, but you don't actually see any message pop up telling you. So you've got to like look at your resource count to figure out what you got. I'm wondering if it's the same with gold, where you do get the gold, it's just a very small amount, and you'd actually have to like be paying attention to notice, oh, I just received 1,000 gold. Any advice for Gondor overall? Don't overextend. It can be very easy to want to push into Mordor early. It can, you can get carried away fighting Isengard over here. If Rohan doesn't play nice and wants to, duke it out, then you could have a third enemy right there. So Gondor can be very strong, but it's very easy for them to fall as well if they piss off too many people. Make use of your Swan Knights properly. I've seen a lot of people saying that they need to be buffed or reworked or whatever because they die a lot. It's like, yeah, they do. So that other guys don't. They're doing their job. Like that's what their skill says. They protect all your other units. They take all damage for the first 3 rounds. And they get 100 extra defense because of that. They're still gonna die though. But again, they die so that other guys don't. Yeah, make friends with one of the other 3 factions around you for sure. And that doesn't necessarily have to be Rohan either. One of the best things you could do would be to make an alliance with Mordor. If Gondor and Mordor decided to actually team up from the beginning of the game, they would have this entire southern region of the map owned, pretty much, and then just push forward. I was gonna say like poof and push at the same time, and blah, blah, blah. So you could push forward and poof, the map would be red and blue. That's kind of where that was going, I think. Which are the best commanders with Swan Knights? One of the best is Aragorn. He provides the really big defense buff here. So it just shoots their... Poosh, yes. So it just shoots their defense even higher. What was it? Gandalf, I really liked with Swan Knights. Boromir. This guy is great with Swan Knights because he's all about defense. So, he loves his Swan Knights. Haldir actually did pretty well with them as well, just because, again, if you go with that guide tree, he gives everybody 45% extra damage and stun immunity. So the Swan Knights aren't going to be getting stunned while they're taking all that damage, at least for the first 2 rounds. They get to put out a little bit of extra damage themselves, but it just increases all the damage that your other units are going to do while they're being protected by the Swan Knights. Obviously, Theo, Eowyn, Eomer are all good options because they give bonuses to mounted units. And yeah, as far as specific commanders that are probably better with Swan Knights than others. Ooh, Haldir, Swan Bear. Yeah. Swan Knights, Bearmen. And you'd want a third Cavaliers. Although you'd probably want a ranged unit, so Sentinels or Bow Knights. Bow Knights, probably. Swan Knights, Bow Knights, and Bearmen? Oh my. Yeah, Eric, sorry, I forgot there that I was kind of in the middle of answering that. I gave you like the joke answer. But it's not really a joke because Theo is just really hard to counter. And yeah, your idea there of going Theo against Theo is probably the best call because you can't really count on spearmen. You know, there's a lot of people that would think, "Oh, I'll just run spearmen like this guy. He ran almost 7,000 spearmen." And I mean, he did a lot of damage. But this was not even close to a full troop load. And, you know, he still didn't win. 115,000 damage. So it's that healing, the damage mitigation, the amount of damage he does himself, or like his troops do. And as I said, if he had been fighting a full troop load, that would have gone even worse. How would I rate Galadriel at respect 1? God, I hate this goddamn tavern. At respect 1, she's alright. I would probably... Because, like, her healing isn't amazing at respect 1. But she does a decent amount of focus damage with these 3 skills. I'd probably put her at a solid B. Maybe, yeah. Maybe an A? Maybe an A. Because I think she's an S tier at respect 5. For sure. Respect 3, I don't think she'd really get any kind of a boost to her tier. And this is the other thing I've noticed. Like, my tier lists are going to be a lot different than other people's. Because I give each commander 3 different tiers generally, if I think they're deserving of it. I give them a tier ranking at respect 0 to 1. If I feel like respect 3 gives them anything to deserve a boost, then they'll get bumped up. Otherwise, they stay at the same tier. And then at respect 5, they get, you know, another ranking. So that's one of the big issues I've got with other people's tier lists is that they're treating them all like equal. And I feel like each level of respect kind of adjusts their ranking a little bit. Because you're going to be prioritizing things different. You're going to put a different amount of points into different skills at different times. So like I said, that's why I want to go that extra little bit with them. Just to try and give people a more or a bigger overview, I guess, of the skills. James Douglas, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. Just got her but won't use my AP on her. Only downfall is you don't have T4 Cav unit, yeah. And Ramos, what are you? Okay, so you don't even have Swan Knights then? You're obviously elves or dwarves? So any easy way to beat Rohan with Mordor? Mountain Trolls, Ravagers, and Spearmen or Raiders would probably be your best bet. Because the Mountain Trolls are going to soak damage like the Swan Knights would. Ravagers are just going to damage everybody. And then the Halberdiers or the Raiders are going to deal the extra damage to the mounted units. You could try snipers if they were running archers. You could try... like crushers probably wouldn't be a great idea. But yeah, mountain trolls and ravagers would probably be the best start. Okay, Eric Ramos, if you're dwarves, then you've got to make use of your Iron Warriors. You know what? Do you have Gimli? Because Gimli with Iron Warriors, Sentinels, and Bowknights might, or even just Iron Warriors and Bowknights, man. Because then you would have your Iron Warriors soaking all that damage for the Bowknights, and you'd be able to go for it and have a field day at that point. That might be your best bet. Once the devs, what is going on with my sound effects? Like why aren't my sounds working? Thank you for hosting me, Spirit. I appreciate that. Can you guys hear the notifications? Because I can't hear the notifications. Why can't I hear the notifications? What's going on here? Boop. I don't think that was that. Yeah, sure. Okay, you heard it. No, but have Dwaylen T5. Yeah. That's... well, I mean, Dwaylen, Doug, whatever you want to call him. Every time I say his name now, King Dead's in my ear. He can put out a ton of damage if you go with the experienced warrior tree and Durin's blood. Because Whirlwind and All In do a ton of damage, and actually Whirlwind prioritizes melee units, so that would be specifically going after his marshals and probably the cavaliers. As you can see, like, I've got him set up as a giant slayer in case I ever did want to go after the dragons and the Balrogs. But yeah, if you were to go the experienced warrior and Durin's blood tree with your Iron Warriors, Rams. Oh, Iron Warriors, Rams. And maybe guards? Yeah, I don't... maybe Iron Warriors, Rams, and guards? because at that point, it's another one of these cases where your commander is going to be doing so much damage that the troops you bring along are just kind of gravy. And at that point, yeah, it's not good. I'll just tell you that right now. Like, on any other commander, on Ori, you know, where is he here? On Ori or Oni or... I don't even have him. Or yes, I do. You know, on this guy, it's fine. Sure, go ahead. Go with the healing tree. This guy can be a healer all day. But, I mean, he's got a slingshot. How much damage is he actually planning on doing to anything? But does a guy that carries 2 big battle axes seriously look like someone who cares about healing his troops? That's my logic behind it. You know, just look at Doug and you tell me what he wants to be doing in battle. And that kind of dictates how you spend his points. If people don't like it, they can at me all they want. Actually, they can now. I found out today that I actually do have a Twitter account. That amazed me. It's, you know, just like everything else at AjMcGamer, I guess, or whatever. I think, that's how it works, right? The at, that's where the at thing came from. I know it's not where it came from, but the use of it in that context, that's where it came from. So yeah, I don't know, every now and then you might see a tweet come out from me. I don't know. Depends on if I remember how to use the damn thing. Definitely will try. We'll hit you up on Discord if anything. Yeah, no problem, dude. He wants to be splitting pointy-eared princesses down the middle. Exactly. Friggin' man. And so yeah, you go with those skills, and that's exactly what he does. He just splits them in twain, cleaves them in twain. Alrighty. Once the devs have sorted their priorities, what do you think about them doing reskins of boats, depending on commander? Elven commanders to have elven-looking boats. Hobbit commanders use rafts. I will definitely try, Ramos. Or Eric Ramos, thank you very much. You have yourself a rest of a good evening, or good day, or good night, whatever part of the day you're off to. And yeah, I mean, Spirit, like you said, once they've got the other stuff taken care of, I don't care myself about that stuff. Like, you know, if it looks nice, cool. You know, I know other people would like that stuff, and so if they're able to add little touches like that, you know, elven boats, like I said, hobbit rafts, if they can update the models or the commanders, give us more avatars, things like that, I'm all for that stuff once they sort the actual issues out. Struggling to balance the right amount of each troop in the barracks. Yes. I definitely know that feeling. Early on, it can be a struggle, but the one thing I find when it comes to troop management in your barracks is you need to figure out which troops you actually use all the time. For me right now, there are 3 units that I always need to be recruiting. Marshals, Cavaliers, and Bow Knights. If I'm not recruiting all 3 of these guys, Theoden is useless. And as you can see, like I'm running a little low on these guys right now. Since I only have like 22 and 2500, I need to start another queue of each of them. I think marshals, yeah, they're the same. Oh no, they're still conscripting. But once I know that I've got them conscripting, or I've got enough of them, then I start looking. As you can see, there are some units I just don't have any of, even though I've unlocked them. But things like Bearmen that I know I want to use on like Haldir, Galadriel maybe, Sharpshooters, Sentinels, Dunedains. I basically try and keep at least one conscription queue's worth of those units in my barracks, just in case. So, 5,000 is generally around the number I want to have. If I have a little bit more, that's fine, but I wouldn't go crazy recruiting guys like these because I don't use them all the time. Same with, master throwers, guard of the tower, guardians. These guys are very specific units if I am going to use them. Guard of the tower I use a bit more than I use these guys, obviously. I had got these in case I wanted to increase Gimli any, but I haven't yet, so I haven't really recruited any. But I was starting to face off against some more mounted units, so I started recruiting the guards. Other than that, actually I could even dismiss all these guys because I haven't gone and done that. Get a little bit more room. Jeez, I had 761 cav archers. Come on. That's just wrong. There we go. Clean all that up. But yeah, finding out exactly which units you end up you use all the time generally helps. T4 Cav, Bonites, and it depends on what you're going up against, really. Because again, if you're going up against archers, you're going to want to run Dunedains. If you're going up against mounted units, you're probably going to want to run spearmen. If you're going up against Mordor, the tier 3 dwarven archers, the master throwers, these guys actually deal more damage to trolls than Bonites do, because they get the same Giant Slayer skill, but they also get Battler's Bane, which deals extra damage to melee units. So these two stacking on top of each other actually means they'll put out more damage specifically against trolls than Bonites. But if you use both together, Bonites and Master Throwers, trolls melt like butter. You put them on a commander like Haldir, that can increase their damage, and the T4 can hold the front. If you're running Swan Knights, yeah, that's exactly it. If you run Swan Knights in that composition, they're going to soak all the damage for the first 3 rounds, letting your ranged units just, like I said, melt the trolls. If you've got them on someone like Haldir or well, yeah, because you said you're running it with Gandalf. So oh, okay, you have Haldir. yeah, then yeah, I would suggest going with Haldir and run the guide tree. Because as I said before, you know, he's going to give the stun immunity in case you're running into a commander like, you know, if they're lucky and have Karun, or like that's worst case scenario. But there's a lot of evil commanders that do run stuns. So having the stun immunity for 2 rounds, as well as that 45% damage increase on your archers, they're gonna cry so bad, man. Yes, but for Gandalf specifically, okay. Still, for Gandalf, now the only thing I just thought about here, I don't know if this would work against Swan Knights. I also don't know if it would stack type thing. Yeah, no, because your Swan Knights are gonna... Oh! That would be interesting, though, because your Swan Knights would want to take all the damage for the first 3 rounds. Okay, so they just wouldn't take any damage from that first instance, because this is only the first instance. That's confusing. But if you were going to run Gandalf... Well, no, yeah, because it's the first instance. The Swan Knights would still soak for the other 2. So it would still be worth it to run the Swan Knights, in my opinion. Oh, yes, and then he gets Convener, so that's even better. Your ranged units are going to get a 75% chance to attack twice every round. So yeah, just run the same 3 guys. Run Swan Knights, Bow Knights, Master Throwers, with Convener maxed, and Trolls are not even an issue for you. No, they wouldn't extend to the 4th round. I'm sorry that my train of thought might have made that a little confusing. But no, the way that would work with Swan Knights is your Swan Knights would still try and take all the damage from that first instance of damage. But I don't think they would take any damage on that first turn, or first whatever. But the other 2 would go off normally. Because this is only giving your allied units avoidance for that first instance of damage. But the Swan Knights would still be at full health when they do start soaking. But they would only soak for 2 rounds. Again, sorry if that's confusing, but I think that's how it works. It's still worth taking just for Convener. Because like I said, giving your archers initiative and a 75% chance to attack twice every round, that's going to be great. You can go with the gray. Oh, he gets fleeting movements too, so you can give 2 of your allied units a chance to avoid damage every, 3 rounds? He's got a stun up here and blindside. You can even reduce the damage received by your men, elves, dwarves, and hobbits. So, I mean, even at respect 1 for Gandalf the Grey, yeah, you got some good options. But Mithrandir and Convener are the big 2 there. You get those, and you're pretty well good. Nice. So yeah, I would say that, like I said, that composition, you should do pretty well, at least if they're running trolls. Once they stop running trolls, you'll have to switch it up a little bit, but Mordor loves running their trolls, so you're gonna see them. I wonder if they'll release Lake Town soldiers and call them masturbators. You must master your joystick as a fisherman masters bait. And yeah, custom created commanders, Spirit. That would be weird. I think that would be a little odd. But I think it's not it wouldn't be a terribly hard thing to implement, considering all of these abilities are just like on a list somewhere, and they mix and match them so much as it is. Why not just give the players access to all of these skills and say, okay, pick 4 titles and 8 sub skills, and there, you've got yourself a commander. Go ahead and pick a bonus thingamajig for level 20. I don't know what they would do about the stats, if it would be like, here's a certain amount of stat points, divvy them up as you wish amongst the 3 to create your like base stat pool. But yeah, I think that could be, I think it would be interesting. Again, I think it would be a down the line thing, but it'd make for some interesting comms, that's for sure. James Douglas, Gondor dominated our server 16, struggling against them as Mordor. They love their bow knights and swans. Yes, they do. The best counter against that as Mordor, yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier, is like, I know it sounds odd to tell you to run trolls into a troll counter, but that's what you got to do as Mordor. You don't have a choice. You just have to run Ravagers. It's like, okay, you're countering my trolls, I will just run more trolls. And because the rest of the troops just suck too much. They don't put out the damage required. You can try Alchemists, you can try Reapers, but you gotta keep them alive somehow. You can try Crushers, but you need somebody else in there to actually do damage. Snipers are a great counter to like the Bow Knights and the Sentinels, but again, you need other units to either keep them alive or do more damage, because their damage isn't the absolute highest. I find though with Evil, it's more about your commander. You just run Lurts, run Exoc, run those commanders that do massive amounts of damage themselves, and then your troops don't matter so much. Yeah, Mountain Trolls and Ravagers together are really good. It's expensive to recruit them both, but if you can do it, like I said, sometimes the answer to a troll counter is just more trolls, even though it sounds counterintuitive. If you make it one of those cases where like 5 more show up for every 1 that dies, let's go for Frodo. Indeed. Now, if everybody doesn't mind, I have just noticed that I'm doing my pee-pee dance here in my chair. I think I'm going to have to hit that transition button. Got to go get myself some water. The throat's getting dry. We're going to take that a little break. Yes, and I've got yet another Art of War quote from Sun Tzu for everyone to enjoy here for the quote of the day. But there's quite an interesting fact here. I mean, apparently the least interesting day in history was, what does it say here? April 11th, 1954. I don't know what didn't happen on that day, but apparently it was not very interesting. So, we shall return in just a few moments, and we'll continue this fun jazz, and probably actually start doing something in game here, since we've been looking at stuff and whatnot. We might actually attack someone. So we shall return. position. And we are back. Alrighty. I am on server 1 myself, James Douglas. Yeah, my comms are not bad. Alerts recently to 49. Insane damage indeed. James, yeah. Alerts there. Alerts is a great commander for damage. Is it worth to spend legendary weapons to upgrade Noldor Blade? Can I please show my most powerful hero? I can. So I'll show you my most powerful hero here first. He's got the Reach of the Rittermark, Scout's Mail fully upgraded, the Horseman's Helm with 2 gold stars and a silver, and then a Fiddle of the Elvis that I haven't upgraded at all yet. I could probably strengthen it with this if I wanted to. But the Noldor Sword, oh, and I'll show you his skills as well. So I do have him at Respect 5, and as you can see I went with the 3 titles here, and then boosted Flanking to max. This isn't something I usually do, boosting 3 titles like that. I usually do find a lot of the sub skills are worth it. With Theo though, his titles are just way too good to pass up. He gives a huge stacking damage bonus to his mounted units, a big heal, and then even more attack and HP to his mounted units. So again, you just can't really pass these up with Theo. And then I wanted to prioritize flanking since it prioritizes ranged units. So it really helps me take care of archers when I go up against them with this guy. And then the other one that I put the extra points into was mounted combat, to have my mounted guys deal a bit of extra damage on hit. And I just put 1 into cleave for a little bit of extra commander damage. The Noldor Sword, it depends on the ability that you've got as to whether or not it's worth refining it, but it probably is worth strengthening it at least, because it does offer might, focus, and speed, an attack boost to your men and your elves. So it's really good on, not necessarily on Galadriel here, because she doesn't really care about might. But like Gandalf is a great pick. Legolas would be a really good option even for it, because he does want might and some focus. The same with Haldir. They both kind of like focus a little bit, but they really like might. So commanders like them. Basically, anyone that does physical damage themselves is going to benefit from the might. But if they have any, generally it's heals that are modified by the focus stat, then they're going to be ones that like the Noldor Sword. And at that point, yeah, it's worth investing other weapons into if you're not using them. If they're just sitting around taking up space in your inventory, then yeah, it's worth it to sacrifice them. Hey man, can you explain how to build Aragorn? I have one at Respect 5. Which Aragorn? Aragorn, like tier 2 Aragorn or tier 3 Aragorn? Hey, you guys got the ring today, eh, Rainbow? Nice. And Tanner Rick, you got your last objective done today. Congrats. All right, the tier 2 Aragorn. Excellent. He's the better Aragorn in my opinion anyway. So this is basically what you want to do. You're going to want to max out Dunedain Chieftain for sure, giving your army an extra 30 defense. The extra 2 HP is always nice. Brawling Training, we actually found out recently that this applies to your whole army, not just Aragorn. So your whole army is going to deal an extra 21% damage against enemy melee units. So it is a nice one to max out. The Anduril tree allows Aragorn to do a lot of damage himself. This is 300% damage against 2 enemy targets, gives him some extra might. This one targets the enemy with the lowest defense and does a decent amount of damage as well. That's what, 240%, I think, at max. And then weapons expertise, you can take that as well. The percent chance doesn't increase, but the actual damage percentage increase does. That gets up to 50%, I think, at max. And then, as you can see here, I only put 2 points into Hidden Air so that I could get 1 point into Sun and Moon's Splendor, because that's all you need to give all of your men units stun immunity. And that's really the only benefit to this tree. Nobility is all right, but again, the Brawling Training gives you the same percentage of damage increase. Just it's only against melee units, and this is only for men. So there's a trade-off with both. If you end up getting enough points and you can put the extra into nobility later on, go for it. But his counterattack down here can also be pretty good, because that also just leads to extra unit damage from your melee units. I would avoid the Strider tree, though. This, I find, is a bit of a trap. Precise Blow and Raid can be alright, but I don't really think it's worth investing the points into. I did try this tree out myself in the beta, and I just wasn't impressed with it. I found once I switched over to focusing on this build, Aragorn performed a whole lot better, as well as his troops. Yeah, I'm looking forward to like the servers merging. I'm still waiting to hear more on what's actually going to happen come season 2. But hey, we've been hearing rumblings now, at least about, I don't know, at least I saw something somewhere. I can't even remember where I saw it now, but somebody might have been on the Discord, the official Discord in the party table or something. Somebody said something about like middle of November, maybe, that the season would end. So there could be another like 2 weeks, but who knows? I'm sure it'll end someday. All right. We've still got war for like 6 hours. Who do we want to attack? Oh, we could come down here and take a 200. That seems like an idea. Charge. Take over the mysterious spring while we're at it, probably. Maybe go for this 200 as well. I don't really want to go after these guys. Neither of them are very high level. Not even at 10,000 power. And what's this guy at? Yeah. They both quit early. Oh, I can wait. I don't think, I just don't think they know what the hell they're doing at all. They've got everything so screwed up now. You know, that last update that gave us the new reinforcement function, that kind of showed how effective their abilities are right now. They actually try and give us a change that people want, and it screws everything up. They gotta go in and do a crazy hotfix right away. And that's for one simple thing that people wanted. Then, of course, along with that, we had to get that friggin' tavern. Friggin' 3D tavern. So when they did the update that allowed us to change reinforcements, like when you reinforce a commander, now you can actually change the troops on them. When they did that, people realized that when you actually sent a reinforcement, the timer counted up instead of down. And so your troops would arrive on your commander, but the game would still think the reinforcements were on their way, which would end up locking your commander on the tile. You couldn't recall them because they had reinforcements on the way. You couldn't march them anywhere else because they had reinforcements on the way. You couldn't summon them back. You couldn't cancel the reinforcements. The only way to get out of it was either to have someone attack you or drop the tile. And you'd still have to wait half an hour at that point to drop the tile. So they had to rush in real fast and fix that. Yeah, it was bad. Oh, it was... Oh. Like, I didn't experience it myself because I was at work when it happened. But I remember getting a message from King Dead about it, saying that, yeah, he had, I think, 2 commanders at that time that were both just dead on a tile because he had reinforced them, but the game still thought the reinforcements were on their way, and it's like, oh my, this is not going to, you know, with people already angry at them, the last thing they need is stuff like that happening when they make an update. So, yeah, at least they fixed it, like you said, Rhino. And, you know, I still give them credit because that is a change that people actually have been asking for since the betas, I think. I'm pretty sure I saw people asking about that in the betas, that they wanted to be able to actually change the units on a commander when they reinforced them. So the fact that they finally added that capability, I think, is great, and I give them credit for it. I don't want to be constantly shitting on the devs. So I try and give them credit when it's due. But it's also a little hard with that one because, like I said, they go ahead and give us a really nice feature like that people have been asking for, but then turn around and in the exact same update give us this stupid 3D tavern that no one was asking for. Like, I scrolled through the suggestions page for a while. I don't think I saw a single suggestion for a 3D tavern. I saw other suggestions kind of like it, you know, updated character models, you know, more avatars, costumes, different things like that. But I don't think I saw a single suggestion asking for a stupid ass 3D tavern where now you got to look at the ugly ass mugs of all the people giving you tips. That was some dev's brilliant fucking idea at 3 in the morning. Struck them like a bolt of lightning. Ooh, I know what they want. That's kind of how I feel. Like, yeah, maybe, you know, that's literally directed at me, where it's like, hey man, calm down, you're only in there for 2 minutes a day. But you know, that, like, my thought on it is kind of the same thing where it's, yeah, that's where I'm going with it, is like, who spends enough time in the tavern and actually focuses enough on the tavern to be like, oh, it's 2D, it's not animated. That's ruining my experience completely. The game sucks all because the tavern is 2D. Just can't do it. Can't do it. You know, if that was the attitude a player took, I wouldn't want them playing my damn game. Yeah, they could have added that to the barracks. Exactly. You know, something animated there. That would have been cool. That I wouldn't have complained about. Because like you said, you're actually there. You spend some time there. You're invested in your barracks. But the tavern? I was just like, come on. With all the other issues with the game right now, that's where you're going to focus your effort, guys? No. Oh god, and now I gotta think. That not only did some of my investment go to those stupid fake ads, now some of it might have gone to the 3D tavern too. A friend didn't even realize it until the next day, and that's how he thought it had always been. Oh my god, I would love for the person at NetEase that was responsible for it, that is just so proud of themselves right now. I would love for them to read that comment. Because that, to me, it's like the majority of the player base. If you didn't read specifically in the update that, hey, you've got a 3D tavern now, there are probably people that either still don't notice, or like you said, just thought, oh, okay, maybe I didn't notice it's been 3D this whole time. That is the part that gets me, though. The why the F the tavern now. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, like that, it baffled me. It felt like an absolute slap in the face where the devs were like, oh, we've seen the suggestions page. We see that you're all begging for numerous changes to the game that would actually provide an improvement in your quality of life or gameplay experience or whatever. But no, we're going to give you a 3D tavern. Like, you assholes. That's why I'm still boycotting the store. I'm still not spending any money, any more money in the game until it seems like they're actually listening. Is this guy just running away? Oh, come on, Bilbo, really? You're just gonna run like that? I mean, I wasn't even planning on attacking him, but now that he's running, I kind of have to, don't I? Yeah, and that's my big problem with it, Rainbow. Like, I play on PC now, so it's not as big of an issue. But I still put myself in the shoes of someone playing this on a phone or a tablet, and it's like, this game was already intensive enough for the graphics processors, the battery, and everything else of phones. Like, my phone's battery is not the same now as it was before I started playing this game. I have done permanent damage to my phone's battery because of this game. And now there's something that's gonna draw even more resources from your phone every time you press that button. You know, the amount of times that I come in here, and even on a computer, it's got a little bit of lag, but I come in here a lot of the time to actually assess commanders because you don't have to worry about the stupid, you know, whatever, because this gives you access to all the commanders. I can't just go to my commander list and get to, like, King of the Dead. I have to come here to check out his skills. And now to do that, I gotta come into the friggin' tavern every time and put up with that. And like I said, if I was on a phone, that would just be Way too annoying. More seasonal content? No. Mixed commanders, mixed units, 3D tavern, and ignoring players. There we go. When I don't play this game, the battery lasts me a day and a half, but playing it, this game lasts like 13 hours or less. Yeah. Who's the best tier 3 commander as a warrior? Thranduil? Whoop. Hell? My lights are... Oh, those lights need their batteries changed. My lights are throwing stuff at me, though. The best warrior... No, Dane. Dane is the best strict warrior. He is actually a warrior, so he gets 25 might. He gets another 2 skill points and 10% physical commander damage. He gets some insane skills, even at respect 0. A 2-round heal block up here. Round 5 onwards, he deals insane damage once each round. So that's 5 rounds worth of crazy damage. Against one enemy target, he deals a good chunk of damage here. That's what, 15 times 20. That's 300% physical damage. 35% chance of stunning the target for a round. Lord of the Iron Hills. His normal attack damage is increased, and this actually... the Dwarven melee units attack damage is increased. And at max level, it affects all Dwarven units. So that would affect your mounted units, as well as your throwers. You can reduce the damage they receive and increase the damage they deal. As well as defending, which a lot of good commanders have. So when you are defending, your allied units take less damage. Durin's Blood is shared by all the dwarves, so it gives you the Whirlwind and All-In skills, which are crazy damaging abilities if you pair them with the actual Durin's Blood tree, which you have to, so it works out that way. But then King Under the Mountain at respect 5, an extra 15% might, 2 extra HP to all his dwarves, Longbeard to have him ignore the defense of your target, and Detect Weakness gives him an increase in damage. So he's basically just all about damage and heal blocks. Or at least that one heal block. But damage, damage, damage. Thranduil is probably a very close second, though. He is a warrior as well. And yeah, like Mirkwood's Vigor is a crazy skill tree. Dealing that poison damage continuously and then increasing the poison damage from round 5 onwards. He also gets Whirlwind and then Swing. And Whirlwind does prioritize melee units, which is pretty nice. Grey Elf is the same one that Legolas has. This one I find weird because I don't think I've seen any other skill, any other healing skill that actually has this recovery rate percentage shown. So I can't really tell you what can't really tell you what this recovery rate thing has to do with the skill. I've never actually unlocked Thranduil to use myself, so I don't have personal experience. I am just going off what other people have shown me in their reports, and just kind of logic. So Wrath of Mirkwood here, gives him an increase to his damage, his own personal damage. And he does want to focus on might, so you could probably see some pretty high damage numbers from Thranduil himself here, especially if you do go Wrath of Mirkwood. Yeah, Mirkwood Ambush, some more poison damage. And then, yeah, King of the Woodland Realm, I think this is his damage mitigation tree. This is the best skill in that tree, in my opinion. Follow-up is the ability to attack twice. But yeah, this is just 15% reduction in damage, and then when you're defending, would be 22%. I don't know if that stacks with the 15 to make 37. But yeah, like I said, I don't consider him as strong a warrior as Dane. And for Arwen, just a second, I just want to yeah, well, I'll show you. Like, for right now, I've got Sharpshooters, Dunedains, and Guard of the Tower on Arwen, because I'm running Nobility, so it increases the damage of all men units by 21%. That's why I'm not running any elves on her, so that this can give full benefit to the whole army. Elves do run Bow Knights, which is why I'm running the Spearmen as well as the Dunedains, because they team up to kind of tear them apart pretty well. And then the Sharpshooters, they just deal extra damage themselves. And again, with the Nobility tree, they get even more damage on top of that. Can you delete your account in this game so I can bind a new one? Yes. If you come into your settings cog, come into your account and account management. Where is it? Oh. Yeah. So I think it would be this button here that you use. You can transfer, you can Google Play, you can start a brand new game. Please be aware the original guest account will be lost if it's not bound to another account. It'll reset and replace your original one if you do. So yeah, that would be where you do it. You've got a couple options. If you had her at respect 3, at that point, yeah, because at that point you can run Coalition to cause your men and elves to cause maximum damage. At that point, I would probably still be running at least the Dunedains, but they might be switched up to Spearmen depending on what I'm countering. Like if I was running into more mounted units, I'd run the Spears. If I was running into more archers, I'd run the Dunedains. But with the Coalition skill boosting elves, then I'd swap out the Sharpshooters for either Bow Knights or Sentinels, probably. And more than likely it would be Bow Knights, or both. It could just be like Bow Knights, Sentinels, and then like Dunedains at the front, or if you think the Dunedains are too squishy to run alone at the front, you could run, what are they, the Heralds? The Elven melee unit. You could run them with Dunedains or Spearmen and your Bow Knights. Yeah, but I can't delete bind one on my Google Play. I try save my new one on it, but it says you already have one binded. What I think you'd need to do is do this. Hit the start a new game button. And that would just delete it. Like it said here, it will create an all new guest account to replace the original one and reset all your in-game data. And then once you've got that guest account created, then you can bind it to whichever. I think that's how you'd have to do it. I've never done that or spoken to anyone that has done it successfully myself, but that's how it makes sense to me. I play as Mordor. I use mountain trolls in almost every troop comp because of their tanking ability. I can't manage to keep enough in reserves. Any alternatives or tips for diversifying troop comps? So yeah, I understand what you mean, because when I played Mordor, Tanner, I loved mountain trolls. Like, I still do. I love mountain trolls. They're the Swan Knights of Mordor. You do kind of need to prioritize certain commanders to focus them on, or else, like you said, you're never going to be able to keep any in reserves if you're running them on every commander. So some commanders you got to kind of sacrifice that tankiness. But if you choose the right commanders, like Lurtz, Lurtz does so much commander damage that his troops don't matter as much. So yeah, you still don't want them to die immediately, but you don't necessarily need the tanking ability of mountain trolls if you're not relying on your units to do the damage. Whereas a commander like Kamul, who's got the second in command tree that it's also got discipline that can increase defense on your army. Those were the ones that I loved running my trolls on because I loved giving them that extra defense. Especially the mountain trolls, because they are going to be tanking all that damage. Any extra defense they can get is a bit of a bonus. Really, the only other thing is just take as many grain tiles as you possibly can. Convert as much stone into grain as you possibly can using your barter feature. But yeah, kind of figuring out exactly what troops you want to be using all the time. Like for me, the only troops I ever really recruited as Mordor were mountain trolls, ravagers, crushers, reapers, alchemists, snipers, and that might have been it. Every now and then I might have recruited some arbalests, maybe some corsairs, but those other 7 were like my absolute main units that I wanted to have on hand. And so I would heavily focus on them over everything else. And then mountain trolls were like on top of even everybody else. I always wanted mountain trolls recruiting. King Dead asks, on my Theoden that beat Dane, what units did I run? I ran Marshals, Cavaliers, and Bow Knights. I don't even need to look at them. Oh, James and King know each other. Awesome. But yeah, because I've been running the same troops on Theo forever, so this is always his comp, really. Generally 1,500 of these, I think 1,200 of these and 1,200 of these, something like that. I'll see if I can find Oh, yeah, 15, 13, and 12. That's how I run my Theo. King dead. If you wanted, you could drop Bow Knights to 1,000 to increase Cavaliers to 1,500. But I'm happy with these numbers. You could even drop both of these to 1,000 to increase the Marshals to 2,000. But again, I like these. If I wasn't Rohan, the Marshals would be Swan Knights if I were Gondor. They'd be Cataphracts if I was Elves. Or Ram Riders, actually. If I was either Ram Riders or Dwarves, or if I were either Elves or Dwarves, then the Marshals would get replaced with either Ram Riders or Cataphracts, depending on who I was fighting. Theo's my favorite commander for Rohan, yes. He's not my favorite overall. This is the first time I've ever had a level 50 Theo, actually. But I knew that if I was going to be playing Rohan, I had to focus him. Oh, well, that just makes me sad. Bilbo took off whatever his big commander was here, so we're just going to get rid of this fort for him. Obviously, he doesn't want it around. He's not too invested in it. We'll just take care of that for him. My favorite good commander overall. That is a good question. Because I don't think I have like a snap answer for that like I do Evil, where I can just kind of be like Agzok all day. My favorite overall might actually be Arwen, just because it doesn't seem to matter what faction I play. I always want to have Arwen ranked up because she's just such a good healer. She offers the same benefits to every faction. Whereas, Theo is not quite as good with Gondor, Elves, or Dwarves as he is Rohan. Same with Éomer and Eowyn. I don't know, Gandalf might be another good, but again, he's not, I don't have him ranked up right now. I haven't actually invested in him. The reason I thought about that is because I just thought, I'm sitting here with a level 49 Arwen in launch. I had a level 50 Arwen in the last beta. I had a level 50 Arwen in the beta before that. I don't think there's another commander that I can name off the top of my head that I've made sure to get to 50 or as close to it on the good side as Arwen. Oh, Crown would be so proud of me right now. But I think so. I think Arwen is my overall favorite good commander. I'm not saying she's the strongest. But like I said, my logic is she's the only commander I can actually name that I know I've had to 50 multiple times. And Respect 5. So I may not talk about her as often. I may not use her as often. But she's always going to be there. Right up at the top of that list. Because there's just nobody else on the good side that heals the way she does as early as she does. What do we need? We need food. See, okay, so this is a good example, actually. was it Tanner? This is how I dealt with my mountain troll situation as Mordor, because as good as they are, marshals are basically trolls. You know, I know they're not as bad, but you know, they cost 12,000 grain to conscript. Yeah, you only get 4 trolls for that. I get 50 marshals, but still, you know, it's a little more grain intensive to play as Rohan than it is to be playing some of the other factions. When you're able to recruit some of these guys for these lower grain numbers, going after the mounted units can feel a lot like going after trolls. And so at a time like this, I would come into my market and I'd say, okay, I can trade that 200 stone into 250 grain right there. I can pay 20,000 gold to get a whole bunch of stone that I can then, or iron, that I can then barter into grain. I'll actually barter that back into ore. Barter some of this into ore. Even out my numbers a little. And then, look at that. I can hire myself a full queue of marshals, and I got a bunch left over. And with that bunch, what are you at? 150. Good. Actually, I don't think I'm going to have enough for this. Not quite. All right. So we'll do it again. We got extra iron. Oop, don't want to put it into stone. All right. Let's see. That should do it. Should have plenty of grain now. Oop. Mr. Mock Battle. Ah. Aragorn, go! Eomer is not good. I don't see anyone playing with him. That's not necessarily true. The only issue with Eomer is he's a very tough, like, he's a middle ground commander between Eowyn and Theoden. So he is better than Eowyn, but it's harder to increase his respect level. He's not as good as Theoden, and they use the same respect item. So the reason you don't hear anyone using him or hear as much talk about him is probably because most people are focusing on Theoden, or Theoden, Theo as I call him now, and they just don't have the extra respect items to pump into Eomer here. But if you actually look at his skills, he's got the same Rohirrim skill that everyone else does from Rohan, which is great. But he gets Marshal of the Markup here, where he's going to deal a ton of physical damage to one target, and then this increases his speed by 1 round by quite a bit. That speed buff is actually going to affect this to increase that damage bonus. He gives his army extra defense here. Plus he does more physical damage against 2 targets with swing. He gets a big damage increase plus more speed from this. Attack Vitals, which is a great skill. Call the Weak, another great one. But then at Respect 5, this is kind of the thing with him. If you don't get him to Respect 5, he doesn't have any survivability. You need to get this, which is that same heal that Theo has at Respect 3. But once you do get him here, you've got this exact same skill tree that Theo has at Respect 3, where you can get the healing for your mounted units, you can get flanking to prioritize ranged units, and this is actually going to do better than Theo in my opinion, because he's doing so much damage himself. And then mounted combat to give your mounted units a 20% chance of dealing additional damage on hit. So Éomer, yeah, he's really good, really strong, but you kind of need to make the choice. Are you going to go for Éomer or Theoden? Trolls are good, but also axe throwers, bow knights, OBs, eagles, drakes, calves, plus heals, T4, Gondor units. Huh? You lost me on that one, Rhino. What do all these units have to do with trolls? I mean, I know the axe throwers and the bow knights and the oathbreakers, yeah, like. Well, yeah, no, they're not troll counters. Like the axe throwers and the bow knights are definite troll counters. Oathbreakers, you're not gonna face them all the time. Don't be scaring people away from using trolls with Oathbreakers. Same with eagles. Not everybody runs eagles. I don't think any evil command. Well, I guess yeah, evil PvP. They'd worry about drakes. But again, like that's not an all the time thing. And cav plus heals. I don't know. I just feel like you're trying to scare people off trolls there needlessly. Because, like, as I was addressing earlier, the answer to troll counters is just more trolls. As counterintuitive as it sounds, you just overwhelm them with trolls. And force them to run more bow knights and axe throwers. You know, at that point, you can then, if they are using squishier units like that, then you can start running things like Reapers and Alchemists and whatnot. But yeah, because like I could throw out lists of counters for all those same units that you just talked about, to make them sound just as bad, kind of thing. I'm just sick of all the hate that I'm hearing about evil commanders and evil units from so many people. It's like, guys, they're not as bad as everyone says they are. It sucks that there are so many new players playing on the evil faction that just don't have the experience to truly know better. They're getting their asses kicked by much more knowledgeable and experienced players. And it makes the units seem terrible. But they just aren't, they're not incentivized. They're not encouraged to actually try and experiment. Because it just seems like they're going to get crushed no matter what they try. Because it's so lopsided. So if they felt like maybe they could actually stand a chance if they were to tweak things and try different compositions and experiment a little bit, then maybe they'd see that not these units aren't as bad as they're saying. God, the amount of people that just say snipers are terrible. It's like, what? You actually think arbalests are better than snipers? No, they're just not. You know, so, and I've seen it just a lot on the Discord, like in the suggestions page. Constant suggestions about buff all these units and nerf all these good units and nerf all the good commanders, buff all the evil commanders. Well, there are some things that might need, like the halberdiers, all the spearmen units, the anti-cavalry units. Yeah, they need to be addressed. They don't do their job as well as they should. The halberdiers from Rune, guard of the tower. The guard of the tower do a little bit better because they have the armor, but the halberdiers just suck as an anti-cav unit. As we all said in the beta as Mordor, like the raiders, just not worth it. Just not worth recruiting. So those kind of things, yeah, those units need to be addressed, but they don't need to just, overhaul every single evil unit the way some people are trying to make it seem. They are Rhino, and it's very much because the evil commanders do a whole lot more damage themselves than good commanders do. So you're not relying on your troops as much to get the job done as you are as a good commander. So it's more about figuring out commander skills and commander counters than it is unit counters sometimes. And that's where I said, the answer to troll counters is more trolls. Because if you put those trolls on a commander like Kamul with the increase in defense, it allows them to push a little bit further. Making use of Lurts. We saw that ourselves, that he was just the go-to guy for so many people in the beta because it didn't matter what units people ran on him. He was the one doing all the damage. Exoc was the same for me. I didn't have to run trolls and stuff on him because he just tore guys up. Like I said, the cavalry stuff, that's where I think their focus needs to be if they're going to buff units. Because I think that's where people really do run into some of the bigger issues is against guys like Rohan with Theo and Eowyn and Eomer. Although, not Eomer because nobody's actually using him yet. But it seems to be the mounted units that I'm hearing people talk about. The Bonites, the Marshals, the Cavaliers. I'm not hearing as much about just like, the Sentinels or the Sharpshooters being overpowered or the Swan Knights being, well, I have heard about the Swan Knights. People don't like their tankiness, but that's their job. So they got to do something. I'm not hearing as much hate for the March Wardens as I used to. People really used to hate how much damage the March Wardens did. But it seems like people are starting to figure out the counters more. You just run Dunedains and... Unit-wise, yeah, I do think, Rhino, that unit-wise, the good units do more damage and have higher defense generally and better skills. But I don't find the same can be... like I said, the same can be said for the commanders. Yeah, and Rainbow Pit, that's what I feel like they're trying to do. Like I said, it does seem to me like a simple way to describe the difference between the good and evil factions is that good commanders are more selfless in battle. So they don't care as much about what they do in battle. They want to help their troops succeed. Whereas the evil commanders are selfish in battle, and they don't generally give a shit about their troops. They want to succeed personally. And so you'll see evil commanders doing a lot more personal commander damage than you will on the good side. On the good side, you've got outliers like Legolas. And thank you very much for that follow there, Fabio. I do appreciate that. But yeah, you've got outliers on the good faction like Legolas that can deal a really high amount of commander damage. But the majority of them, I find, do more for their units than themselves. Yes, I will agree with that statement wholeheartedly, Rhino. Is that, like, you know, a lot of the complaints that I'm seeing right now are just kind of, you know, I try and use this word is in the proper context. You know, they're from a place of ignorance, just of not understanding yet. It's inexperience. They just need more time, more testing, more reports, stuff like that, and then they'll probably see what some people are talking about. But on the same hand, I mean, we've talked about it before. I personally feel like the devs just prefer the good factions over the evil factions. Like, they personally like the good factions more, and so they put more effort into them. Because, yeah, I mean, especially before some of the changes that they've made, like some of the buffs to some of the troops and things like that, like at the beginning of the beta, when we finally got to play as the evil factions, it was like I don't know, 2 weeks in, and there was a bunch of us going, what the hell is happening here? Is this seriously what you guys gave us for evil? Because none of us could make sense of the troops or the commanders for the first couple of weeks. It did look really, really strange. But eventually, we all started to figure out how to make them work. And we were able to be successful. You know, Isengard was the strongest faction in Server 4 last beta. So, yeah, that might have been because of player numbers. But it's also because they knew what they were doing with their commanders and their units by the end of it. Ah, there you go, Rhino. See, like, that kind of shows that your Lurtz and Agzok did more damage than Gandalf and Eowyn, but not the troops. What do you mean, Rainbow Pit? They do have the same. They're actually Fell Beasts are actually better than Eagles, if I remember, because Eagles don't have poison damage. What is their... No, they do have a good secondary, though. What is that secondary? Swoop. Okay, yeah, their speed stat increases damage dealt. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about this thing. Because that actually does make a huge difference. It does way more damage than the poison from Fell Beasts. I think their idea with the Fell Beasts was that you would take the poison damage and then... So no, I was wrong when I said the Fell Beasts were better than Eagles. Like I said, I was totally forgetting about the actual swoop ability and what its wording was. I should have just shut up until I clicked on the thing, because I knew I was going up there to read it anyway. But yeah, I think their idea was that you would take the Fell Beasts and use them with the Nazgul, who have the increase to poison damage. And at that point, you know, when you... Like, where the... Come on, give me a Fell Beast layer, you bastards. I know we had some over here in the Ashen Plains. But whenever I want one, I can't find one. Wait, can we search these out yet? Yes, we can. Haha. Search. That was the other change that they made that was like, excellent, amazing. We can actually search for stuff now in an effective manner. But yeah, this vile stench. like I said, once you max this out, that's 30% poison damage, continuous for 2 rounds that they're dealing. And then if you were to put them with a Nazgul, that increases poison damage even more. You know, that would do pretty well. But yeah, I still don't think it's quite as good as having your damage increased by your speed stat when your speed stat is 300. But yes, Rhino, I didn't know if you had seen that search feature since you had quit. But yeah, we can actually search for stuff now. And like, you can even make it so that you can only search for unoccupied tiles. Like, my God. You can search for mobs. You can search for camps. And the camps, they can just be wherever the hell around the map. It's amazing. So yeah, that one, like I said, a 10 out of 10. That was actually a brilliant change that we've been asking for since the betas. But I mean, honestly, I just thought about this. God, that doesn't make me feel good. How many months have we been asking for this change? And we just finally got it? Ugh. That's how long it takes them to address changes that we want. Oh, this is going to be a long year. Snipers versus Eagles, indeed. Yes, Rainbow Pit. Sorry, no, yeah, that was delayed by the 3D Tavern. Indeed. But yeah, the Fell Beasts, like I said, if you were to put them on the right commander, they might be better than Eagles. On the Witch King at Respect 5, they definitely would be. But other than that, no, Eagles are probably going to do more damage because their damage is increased by their speed stat there. Although I don't actually see many people using Eagles in combat just because they are easy to counter. You run snipers, you run any kind of archers, and they just go down. So, I generally only see Eagles used for pathing to get people where they want to be quicker. All units are useful in the right situations. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that... But yeah, no, fuck hobbits, man. Hobbits are a waste. Oh, no, you're totally right there, Rainbow Pit. Oathbreakers are way better than Barrow Wights. But guess what? Oathbreakers, as strange as it is, Oathbreakers are not restricted to the good factions. So, I mean, if you can get yourself down to Gondor land, you can pick yourself up Oathbreakers, no problem. Yeah, evil can use them. And honestly, like, the Barrow Wights, they are just not worth using at all. Barrow Wights are terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. If anyone were to ask me what the single worst unit in this game is, this is my answer right here. Fucking Barrow Wights. Like, what? Why? They're not even immune to physical damage. They're still going to take all the physical damage that any other unit would. They've got absolute crap damage themselves. They've got 41 defense. Yay. they recover a little bit of HP, 20% HP at max at the end of each round. And they die at the end of battle. Like, what? Why? No. Just no. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your gold. Don't waste anything on Barrow Wights. They're useless. What would you say is the best special unit? Eagles, Fellbeast, OB, Mamakill, etc. Oathbreakers. They can be used by everybody, and they don't take physical damage. Yeah, they all die at the end of battle. It doesn't matter if they're damaged. Or wait, yes it does. Wounded units, sorry. Wounded units die at the end of battle. So you can't apothecary them. But yeah, I just think they're absolutely retardedly useless. As it even says here, like low damage infantry unit that can heal itself every, I don't know, maybe, but they can't even soak a bunch of damage. They've only got 41 defense and 38 HP. So, you know, a unit of these guys is going to heal what? 20%, so 10% of 40 is 4, so they're going to heal 8 HP. No, hobbits are not necessarily better than Barrow Wights. They're both at the bottom. Like they suck equally bad. Because yeah, hobbits increase the recovery received by your other units, but you've got to take up a unit slot to do it. Unless there was somebody, oh, who was it? Somebody was saying they had an idea about running hobbits, having them at 0, and then just filling the other 2 unit slots completely with the other units. I'm just not sure if they got back to me saying whether or not that idea worked. And if it did, whether or not it was worth it. That's 8 HP you didn't have before. Yeah, I guess, King. I mean, sure. Okay. But is it really worth it? I mean, when I think about what else could I get in that slot? You know, to me, it's like, are you seriously telling me there isn't anything better that some other unit offers you than 8 HP that you didn't have before? Because I guarantee you've got units that do more damage, or units that have higher defense, or units that prioritize something, or units that don't all die at the end of battle if they're wounded. You know, so is that 8 HP that you didn't have before really worth trading off everything else? They just don't have any other numbers to offset the losses. Like I said, when you're talking about a low damage infantry unit, that generally means something to soak damage. But they won't even be able to do that effectively. They need to be in battle for the buff to apply. Ah. What about Hobbit plus Barrow Wight plus Healing Calm? You couldn't do it. Because the Barrow Wights can only be recruited by the evil factions, and hobbits can only be recruited by the good factions. So you just couldn't do it, Anxious. Look at the T2 melee of each good faction. It's almost better than Barrow Wights. Oh my god. Seriously? I believe you too. Like I don't even feel like I actually have to look this up, but I want to. That's hilarious. And Barrow Whites are a tier 3 unit. So yeah, let's take a look here at like the Wardens. Yeah, look at this. A tier 2 Elven unit does way more damage, has way higher defense. Sure, they've got 10 less HP, but they've got way higher defense, way higher damage. They've got a counterattack. They don't all die at the end of battle if they get wounded. I mean, even the Shield Bearer, a basic infantry unit, has almost the same HP, way higher defense. Their base damage is lower, but their max damage is higher. They get a damage reduction. And then what was it? It'd be the Outriders? Yeah, that's just not even a comparison. Sure, the defense isn't great, but they've got way better HP, way better damage. They get the mounted bonus. Yeah, like you said, like tier 2 melee units are better than... Yeah, until next season when stuff mixes. Oh, Christ. I never even think... Oh, my God. Fuck off, King. Maybe we will be able to on season 2. Yeah, maybe. I mean, you never know. That would be weird. That's another weird thing. Are good and evil going to be able to recruit special units of the opposite alignment now? Yeah, I don't know. This is... God, I don't want to get back on that. Oh, we were destroying a fort over here, weren't we? Did we do that? Yes, we did. All right. We'll take this 200 now. That was something else we were going to do. Let's see who this is. Oh, is this guy? Oh, okay. Sorry. This is going to be mean. Mama Kill plus OB Season 2 will be weird. Yeah. Why use Barrow Whites when you can use anything else? Yeah, exactly. When you can just use literally anything else. And it's the same with Hobbits. Like, Mama plus OB on Haldir. Mama plus OB on Theo. Because Mamas apparently count as mounted units, so... I don't know... Like, this is where I'm also getting a little frustrated with the game, because I don't know how their stuff works anymore. Like, Theo has these bonuses specifically for mounted units. If I look at a unit, well, then I can very easily see that, oh, this is a mounted unit. So Theo's going to give him a bonus. But if I search out Mama Kills here, and we take a look at our Mama Kills, we got Beasts, we got Large, we got Mama Kill Charge. We don't have anything here saying mounted unit. We don't even have anything here saying mounted unit. Okay, so this is where we actually get something talking about them being a mounted unit. They're capable of bearing dozens of riders in baskets on their back. But other than that, there's nothing here that would actually say to you that, yes, this is a mounted unit. Very, very simple. There's a very simple reason that I prefer Cavaliers over Cataphracts. They do way more damage. Way more damage. And I care more about damage than I do about soaking damage when it comes to those commanders. Also the speed. Cataphracts are just way too slow. But yeah, 34 to 42 damage initially from the Cavaliers. They've got a decent defense of 34, a good HP at 82. Their speed is 139, but they get the Rohirrim charge. So their first instance of damage dealt in battle is increased by 50%. Whereas Cataphracts, I don't even have them unlocked actually. That's how much I like Cataphracts. Cataphracts have a little bit, you know, or is it almost the same damage-wise? No, 34 to 42 versus 26 to 35. Yeah, they've got better HP by a little bit. They obviously have a higher defense because they are fully armored. But their speed is only 110, which actually slows your commanders marching down quite a bit. And yet they do have full protection, so they receive less damage from melee units, which is going to keep them alive against spearmen. And they've got that same mounted thing for the 10% less damage. But yeah, they're not as good as Cavaliers. You definitely want Cavaliers for the extra damage. Especially if you're Rohan using Theo and Eowyn and whatnot. Like I said, that extra damage in that first instance can be brutal. So, as you can see here, my Marshals did 80,000 damage. The Cavaliers did 47,000 on their own. So, I mean, they're putting in damage right in line with the Bow Knights. What did we do at... No. Yeah, like this one. What kind of numbers did we have here? Yeah, they actually did more damage than the Bow Knights in this fight. And that wasn't even a whole ton of them. 206,000. Yeah, so I mean, you can see here they're in and around that 40, like 45 to 50,000 damage mark, just about every time. What did we actually get for their first instance? Yeah, so like right here, you can see why they do higher damage. They get their 50% damage increase from their own skill, and then Theo gives them the Rohirrim charge himself for another percentage increase. And so against Cataphracts, who have all that damage reduction and defense, they still did almost 9,000 damage and took out almost 100 units. So... I did try using Cataphracts as Gondor in the last beta. I just found them too slow and didn't deal enough damage. And I didn't want to balance the resources that much. I figure if I just sacrifice Cataphracts, that's a whole lot of extra grain I can put toward the other mounted units that I know I'm going to use. Yes, you prefer Swan Knights. Yes. If I was Gondor, I'd be going Swan Knights, Cavaliers, Bow Knights, as opposed to the Marshals. My favorite units on Gandalf is Axe Throwers, Spears, and Rangers. Ah, okay. The unit you have not used at all are Sharpshooters. And it's funny because, like, I was using Sharpshooters over Sentinels up until recently. But I've been hearing more and more that Sentinels, actually that's something I might be able to test finally. Okay. Because I've been hearing that Sentinels actually deal more damage than Sharpshooters now. So I want to see if I can do a good test here. I don't want any like damage bonuses or anything for them. I just want like a vanilla commander that's not going to give any bonuses to archers. Actually, you know, I can make like a super vanilla commander for this, can't I? Let's go with you. And we're going to go like this. Poof. As vanilla can be. And all right, we're going to load you up with 1,000 Sentinels. And what do we have? Okay, so I'm going to need to take that and that. We've got a 15 here and a 15 here. 10 hours, 2 hours. All right. You going to be able to one-shot that? No, you need more than 1,000 of them. Well, we can do that. How about 2,000? Alrighty. Sweep away. Yeah, I just remember Rhino in the last beta. We'd actually found out that Sharpshooters were out damaging Sentinels. So at the beginning of launch here, I had just been running Sharpshooters again by default. But then people started mentioning that they thought they were seeing higher damage numbers from Sentinels. So I took note of it, and I've been wanting to do a bit of testing. And this is kind of how I do my testing, everybody. As you can see, I just went with a vanilla commander. There's not going to be any damage bonuses to either of the units. I'm going to go with 2,000 Sentinels on this level 15 tile. And then I'm going to move over here, and I'm going to run 2,000 Sharpshooters against this level 15. I figure that'll be as fair a comparison as I'm able to make. I wonder if people in Mordor realized Elks are good yet. Yeah, I'm pretty sure most of them have figured out that Alchemists are pretty good. So 34,314 damage done in that particular fight. Lost just over half of them. Get rid of them. Oh, wait, this isn't going to be... Well, no, I guess it is going to be fair because this isn't a damaging skill. But these guys aren't going to have their full increase to damage. I would prefer that at level 10. Because that would actually show their true potential, their true damage potential type thing. I should be able to afford at least one more point into that, though. Yeah, okay, I can afford a few, too. All right. That's a little bit better. Up to 32% now. I think that goes to 45%? That's going to give a 4% increase. No, 40% damage increase at max level. Yeah, but like I said, Rhino, it's only a downside because it's not showing their full damage potential. So, and yeah, I guess that's what we're testing, isn't it? But yeah, so we add on 8% to the damage they deal. That'll tell us what their actual damage numbers are. Go maths. I like numbers. And I hated math in school. Like, I didn't hate math in school. It's just I didn't like the way teachers taught it, I guess. It's like I loved algebra when we got to it. That's just 8% on first round, yeah. First 2 rounds, actually. That's the other thing about sharpshooters that some people forget, is that is a 2-round damage buff, not 1. Yeah, it's just one of those minor things. Because it's the only one, I think, that lasts for 2 rounds like that. I'm pretty sure most other big damage increases like that do only last for 1 round. So, it's an easy thing to have slip. That seems like it'll be a good way. Yeah, it goes up to 40% at max there, Rainbow Pit. And so that's 40% extra damage for the first 2 rounds. Or the first 2 instances of damage. And the reason that they specify that is in case you have a commander that has Convener or something like that can grant follow-up. It means that... Or is it the first 2 instances or first 2 rounds? First 2 rounds. So no, Convener and follow-up wouldn't cancel this out the same way it would cancel out something like Guide, I think. Because Guide... Whoops. No, that's also the first 2 rounds. Where's the one... What am I thinking about then that says... First... Is it all the tanking stuff? I think it's all the tanking stuff that says first 3 instances of damage or something like that. Or it's the avoidance skills that refer to instances of damage as opposed to damage in a round. And the reason they specify that is because, like I said, skills like Convener or anything that grants follow-up would actually provide a second instance of damage in the same round. The avoidance skills, thank you. So yeah, those skills don't necessarily translate into rounds because, like I said, Convener, things that grant follow-up, can actually provide a second instance of damage in the same round that has to get tanked. So most people seem to refer to it by round, which is kind of a good rule of thumb for most commanders. But you do kind of have to keep in your mind that not all the time is that actually going to last a full 3 rounds. It may get wiped out by the second round. When should I use Guardian of the Tower? If you're going up against mounted units. Yeah, Haldir with sharpshooters would be great. Maybe Sharpshooters could be better than Sentinels on Legolas. Yeah, because he provides them extra attacks. Like that 20% chance, I think it is, to attack twice. Alright, let's see what kind of damage we got here. Ooh, we lost more Sharpshooters than we did Sentinels. And that makes sense because the Sentinels have the avoidance. And 31,236. What was it here? 34,000. Okay, so like a difference of 3,000 damage. So 10% of that would be 3,123. They'd be doing about the same amount of damage. Because, yeah, these guys would only... That's weird. Yeah, I do agree with you there, Rhino, that, like, the fact that I didn't lose as many Sentinels means if this fight were to continue, the Sentinels would be doing... would now be doing more damage just because they have more numbers. But for that first instance, they'd do about the same amount. Because these guys would only get about 35... I don't even know if they'd break 40,000. Huh. But yeah, on a commander like Haldir, giving them the extra damage. Although he'd give that same extra damage to your Sentinels. But even still, that's another 45% damage for those first 2 rounds. Legolas, he's got the dual attacks, so that would be alright. Yeah, Rainbow Pit, that's probably nail on the head right there. Good question, Rhino. How many rounds did they go? But yeah, like Sentinels seem like they probably are better for consistency. Whereas Sharpshooters are your burst damage, and you put them on a commander that wants to do burst damage. Oh, wow, and the Sharpshooters actually lost some units before they even started attacking. But that's round 1, round 2, round 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It might have gone the 10 rounds. Yeah, 10 rounds. And how long did this one go? Sentinel was granted avoidance. Yeah, so they survived Haldir's attack. They did lose 48 units. Oh my god. They actually lost more units than the Sharpshooters did to begin with. And still put out decent damage numbers like that. Alright, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh! Wow. I mean, that's pretty definitive right there. Yeah, Rhino Sharpshooters plus comms that increase men. The same, like that's why I've got Sharpshooters on Arwen. But that's pretty definitive right there. The Sharpshooters, you know, using the same comm, the same number of troops against the same enemy. The Sentinels took them out in 7 rounds. The Sharpshooters had to go the full 10. Yeah, so I mean, hey, there we go. I think I think that might answer those questions. As we said, I think Rainbow Pit kind of summarized it really well. The Sentinels are better for consistency. The Sharpshooters are better for burst damage, and you're going to want to use them on commanders that, you know, favor that burst damage. Either commanders like Eowyn that are going to increase the damage of men units, commanders that give dual attacks in those early rounds, things like that. Sharpshooters can be really good. Otherwise, if you're wanting archers, go with your Sentinels or your Bow Knights. Well, I think that was a great way to finish off the stream. Got some questions answered. I found on Trolls, Sentinels are better too. This, of course, does not apply to specific comm builds. That makes sense to me, though, because that avoidance would really come in handy against the Trolls. You know, surviving that bit of damage would definitely help. But with all that being said, with those tests being done and out of the way, I just want to get the thank yous taken care of and thank everyone that supports me, all my patrons, all my subscribers, all my followers. Yeah, as I say at the end of every night, it does mean a lot to me. I really appreciate it. Before I go, though, because getting into this brings me to I led into this on Discord, and I haven't got to it tonight. I've been considering dropping, at least temporarily, dropping one of the 3 streams during the week. Mainly, I want to do that so that I have more time to get back at videos. I'm having too much of a struggle right now with the schedule, trying to crunch videos into it. I feel like maybe dropping a stream, going down to 2 streams a week instead of 3, as I said, even temporarily, might help with that. And so I wanted to ask the viewers, the people that come here to watch, which of the 3 streams, if there is one specific one, that anyone would think would be better to drop than another. You don't have to answer now. If people want to send me messages about it, or I can put up a poll on the YouTube. But it's just an idea I'm kicking around, so we can have more thoughts and discussions about it as time goes on. That'll probably be in like a November thing anyway, like next week, because Monday is November 1st. Holy crap! But yeah, I really do want to get putting videos out again. It's just, man, it's tough. I've found I do prefer streaming over making videos too. It's weird, but I like the interaction with everybody. But I do like putting out the videos, so I want to get back to that. What Rhino said, but 3 videos a day. Stream 7 days a week and upload 1 video a day. No. I will just say that straight up. I mean, not right now. I could, if I were able to do this full time. I mean, I would try and I don't know about the video a day, but I could do the stream 7 days a week. That'd be awesome. You can also just make the content on stream. Yeah, I know. I have actually been trying to do that. I'm not good at that. I don't know what it is. I get so, I don't know, into chat, I guess, that it distracts me from the in-game ideas that I had, as you guys have probably seen, where I'll be, oh yeah, let's go do this now, and then I get into chat and then forget about it, like I have been here sitting on a screen. I don't seem to have the discipline to just be like, okay, ignore chat, do the video stuff now. You guys can join for the ride. So, like I said, I've been trying. The wheels have been spinning this week. Just trying to figure out how can I make it work. And I kind of came up to the like, hey, I don't know, maybe you got to try dropping one of the streams. You could script the video, explain it on stream, and add a Q&A little section at the end with chat. That might be a good idea. That might be the way to, because I've already got the Q&A worked in. I could just shift it to the end, and then like do the thing, and then talk about the thing, answer questions about the thing, and then make a video about the thing. See, it sounds so simple when I like say it. Even when I write it down, it's like, yeah, look, I got it written down. It's organized. It makes sense. I have a hard time translating it onto the stuff, though. Take the concept of XQC's YouTube videos, maybe. XQC's? Is that someone I'm going to have to look up? Is that like the channel itself? Just like 15... 20-minute snippets of the stream you like. Yes. Editing down the VODs, because I just found out that I can download the video files from like Twitch. So I'm going to do that this weekend when I got XQC as a Twitch streamer. Awesome. But yeah, I'm going to try starting to download the actual video files and see if I can use them to edit some stuff. So there are plans. Like I just wanted to address it because I know that it's been a while since I've put out a video. I didn't want people thinking that I'd like given up on them completely or whatever. I was just wanted to address it. That got, again, as always with me, that got way more long-winded than it probably needed to. But thank you all once again for being here tonight. It was a lot of fun, as always. Got to answer some questions, learn some stuff. It was great. And then you can post it in YouTube. Oh, yeah, like explain it to us. We can ask live questions, and then you can post it in YouTube. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Okay, I'm going to, ideas are rolling again. It's going to be like 3 in the morning before I get to bed. I always got to wind down, and like I'm supposed to be ending this, and I'm not ending it. It's like 1:15 now. I got to get up in the morning. Anyway, for the third time's a charm here. Gonna try this again. Thank you all very much for being here. It was quite fun as always. We will be back on Monday night. Well, yes, Monday night. We'll be back on Monday night. God damn it, I'm about to do it again. If it's been entertaining, if it's been fun, engaging, all that fun jazz, hit the like button, the subscribe button, the button. Ryan George, man, if you haven't checked him out on YouTube, he's a funny guy, and I'll admit I kind of stole that from him. All the buttons. And we will see you all in the next one. Until then, good luck on whatever battlefield you find yourself on. Peace out. Final transition of the night.